Good evening, dear listener. Tonight we are going to drift back to an island that sleeps in warm moonlight. An island that still believes tomorrow will be just another Sunday. The air smells of salt and jet fuel. Palm leaves whisper against a sky that glows deep blue and fading gold. Engines rumble across the airfield like distant thunder, then soften, then fade, until only the quiet ticking of cooling metal remains. No one here knows that the next sunrise will carry fire. No one knows that the laughter you are about to hear is the last easy laughter before history changes forever. For now, the day still belongs to peace. The engine winds down under your hands, a long, tired sigh of steel and power. The propeller blades blur slower and slower in front of you until they are no longer a spinning disk but three solid arms catching the last light of the afternoon. Your hands rest on the throttle, your leather gloves sticky with sweat and the smell of fuel. The cockpit vibrates less and less until the whole world feels strangely still. A deep silence rises up beneath the fading roar, the kind of silence that feels heavy after hours of noise. You can hear the ticking of hot metal as the engine cools. You can hear your own breathing in the helmet. The wind that had screamed around the canopy only minutes ago is now a soft, warm breeze pushing at the open side window. Out beyond the nose of the plane, the airfield stretches in long, pale strips of concrete and sun-baked grass. Palm trees stand in uneven lines along the edge of the base, their fronds shifting lazily in the trade wind. Beyond that, the distant shimmer of the Pacific. The water catches the sun like broken glass, flecks of gold and white on endless blue. You reach forward and twist the final switch. The last hum dies. The propeller stops completely with a small shudder. For a heartbeat, the world holds its breath. Then the other sounds creep back in. A truck rattles past in the distance, its wooden bed clattering. Another fighter rolls along the taxiway, engine still snarling as the pilot tests the throttle. Somewhere behind you, mechanics shout to one another over the rumble of a generator. A radio crackles in a nearby hangar, spilling fragments of big band music and static into the warm Hawaiian air. You pull off your helmet. The late afternoon breeze brushes through your hair, damp with sweat. The sky above is a great soft dome of fading blue with thin streaks of cloud glowing orange near the horizon. The sun has begun its slow drop toward the sea, painting the world in that rich, honey-colored light that makes even the concrete look warm and gentle. You swing one leg over the side of the cockpit and climb down, boots finding the metal foot holds by memory. When your feet hit the ground, the impact runs up through your knees and into your spine. Hours in the air always leave you feeling a little hollow, as if your body has not quite caught up with your mind. A mechanic hurries over, wiping his hands on an oily rag. "How did she fly, Lieutenant Hayes?" he calls, voice raised over the distant whine of another engine. You feel the tired smile tug at your face. Daniel Hayes. That is your name here, stitched in neat letters above your chest pocket. Smooth enough, you answer. She shudders a little in a steep climb. Might be the carburetor. And she pulls right on landing. The mechanic nods, already mentally taking the plane apart. He pats the fuselage like a living thing. "We will have her purring by morning," he says. "Go get some chow, sir." You look beat. You murmur your thanks and step back from the plane. For a moment, you simply stand there, watching the heat shimmer off the metal skin, feeling the warm concrete under your boots. The smell is a thick mixture of fuel, hot rubber, sun-baked paint, and the faint sweetness of tropical flowers drifting in from somewhere beyond the fence. Behind you, another engine cuts off with a coughing roar. A second plane rolls to a stop beside yours. The propeller slows, stops. The canopy pops open, and a familiar head leans out, hair flattened by his helmet. "Danny boy," a voice shouts down, already grinning. "You stall that crate yet, or did you manage to land without denting the runway?" You look up and shake your head, fighting a laugh. It is Tom Gallagher, your closest friend in this far-flung piece of ocean. His cheeks are flushed from the flight, his eyes bright with that same restless energy that gets him into trouble almost as often as his charm gets him out. "I will let you dent it tomorrow, Tom," you call back. "Thought I would give the ground crew a quiet evening for once." He barks a laugh that carries across the tarmac, unbothered by rank or distance. The last rays of the sun slide lower, stretching shadows of tail fins and wings across the ground. A line of planes glows in the warm orange light, each one still ticking and cooling like a row of sleeping steel birds. Beyond them, the hangars stand with their big doors open, dark-mouthed, swallowing mechanics and tools and crates of spare parts. The shift is ending. You can feel it in the way people move. The urgent rush of daytime work slowly thins into a tired shuffle. Voices soften. Laughter grows louder. A jeep rattles by with 3 crewmen in the back, caps askew, one of them already lighting a cigarette. The smoke curls up in thin blue lines that catch the orange light as if outlined in fire. You and Tom fall into step together as you walk back toward the operations building. Your flight jacket hangs open, the air cooling your damp shirt beneath. Sweat dries on the back of your neck, leaving a faint salt crust. "Mess hall first," Tom says, stretching his arms over his head until his shoulders pop. "Then we hit town. The boys are already talking about drinks and music." "You mean you're already talking about drinks and music?" you reply. He grins, completely unashamed. "Someone has to keep morale up," he says. "Besides, this is Hawaii, Danny. We would insult the island if we stayed on base all night again." The path from the flight line to the barracks is lined with low lamps that will glow bright once the sun fully sets. For now, they are just dull shapes against the ground. The sky shifts into deeper colors with every step, from bright gold to burnt orange, to a slow, rich purple pooling behind the palm trees. The air cools little by little, but it still wraps around you like warm water. You pass a group of ground crew sitting on overturned crates, sharing a joke. One of them has a small radio propped up on his knee, soft swing music drifting out, the brass notes thin but cheerful in the open air. Another man tosses a baseball up and down, the glove snapping with a satisfying thud as he catches it. Beyond the fence, you glimpse the world outside the base for a moment. A narrow road twisting away toward town. The roofs of small houses, a woman in a simple dress hanging laundry that flutters in the breeze like pale flags. Farther out, the dark line of the shoreline and the endless, slow breathing of the sea. You think of how quiet it all looks, how safe. Inside the barracks, the light feels harsher at first. Bare bulbs hang from the ceiling, throwing white light across the rows of bunks and footlockers. The air is warm and smells of soap, sweat, leather polish, and a faint hint of tobacco. Men are in various states of undress, some peeling off flight suits, others buttoning fresh shirts, a few already lounging on their beds with books or letters from home. Laughter bounces off the walls. Somewhere at the far end, a gramophone crackles as someone tries to coax music from a worn record. Tom drops onto his bunk, boots landing with a hollow thump on the wooden floor. You sit on your own bunk across the aisle, the springs creaking under your weight. For a moment, you just stare at your open locker, at the neatly folded shirts, the extra pair of boots, the shaving kit. These small, ordinary things anchor you after the hours in the air. You go ahead and wash up first, Tom says. I need a minute to remember how to walk in a straight line on something that does not move. You take a small towel and head for the washroom. The tiled floor is slick with splashed water. Sinks line the wall, mirrors above them clouded slightly with steam. Two pilots stand side by side, brushing their teeth, foam on their lips, their words muffled as they trade gossip about a dance in town last week. You splash cool water onto your face. It runs down your cheeks and drips from your chin, carrying away the thin layer of dust and sweat. For a few breaths, you simply close your eyes and let the sound of running water fill your head. The pipes hiss and clank softly in the walls, a gentle mechanical heartbeat. When you look up again, your reflection stares back from the warped glass. Dark hair, a little too long over the ears. Eyes that look older than your years. Not from age, but from altitude and responsibility. You lean closer, watching a bead of water trail down your neck, disappearing into the collar of your undershirt. Dinner time haze. A voice says from the doorway. It is Eddie Morales, another pilot from your squadron, his hair still damp from a quick shower. If we wait on Gallagher, we are going to starve. You dry your face and follow Eddie back through the barracks. Tom is already on his feet again, boots laced, jacket thrown over his shoulder. Mess hall first, he announces, then town. That was the deal. Nobody backs out now. You fall into line with them as the three of you step out into the evening. The sky has deepened to a royal blue now, with the first stars pricking through. The air feels softer on your skin, carrying the mixed scents of cut grass from the parade ground, faint exhaust from the passing jeeps, and something sweet and floral drifting from the distant tree line. Crickets have begun their steady rhythm in the shadows. The mess hall is a long, low building, with windows thrown open to catch any moving air. Light spills out in bright rectangles onto the ground outside, along with the layered hum of voices, clatter of trays, and the clink and scrape of cutlery. Inside, the noise wraps around you instantly. Men in uniform sit at crowded tables, sleeves rolled up, jackets hung over chairbacks. Conversations overlap. Talk of flight patterns, of letters from home, of baseball scores picked up from crackling radio broadcasts. Laughter erupts from one corner as someone tells a story with wide gestures. The smell hits you next. Roast meat, mashed potatoes, coffee that has been sitting a bit too long on the burner, a hint of something sugary that might be pie. It is not a home-cooked meal, but after hours in a cold cockpit, it smells like a feast. You move along the serving line, tray sliding against the metal rail. A cook with rolled-up sleeves and a stained apron drops a generous spoonful of potatoes onto your plate, then a thick slice of meat glistening under brown gravy. "Eat up, Lieutenant," he says, voice rough but kind. "You boys burn more fuel than the planes." Eddie chuckles at that. Tom winks at the cook and asks if there is any chance of an extra roll. He gets his wish with a mock glare and a muttered comment about hollow-legged pilots. You find a table near the middle of the room. The wooden chairs scrape and creak as you sit. The table is scarred with years of bumps and knife marks. You like it. It feels solid. The first bite of food is almost painfully good. Warm, heavy, real. Conversation flows easily around the table. Someone complains about an early morning drill. Someone else boasts about a perfect landing in crosswind. There is a short burst of debate about a movie showing in town. Who has seen it and who thinks the lead actor flies like a brick? Tom tells a story about the time he nearly missed a briefing because he was too busy teaching a local boy how to toss at baseball. His hands move as he speaks, tracing the arc of a pitch, the smack of the glove. Eddie chimes in with his own story about a letter from his younger sister back in Arizona, describing a dust storm that turned the sky red. As you eat, you feel a slow warmth spread through your chest, not just from the food, but from the simple comfort of being surrounded by voices and clatter and ordinary complaints. For a while, war feels far away. Even the thought of the world beyond the ocean edge fades. There is only this room, this evening, this easy camaraderie in the soft clatter of plates. At one point, the murmur of the mess hall dips as someone tunes the radio that sits near the serving counter. A burst of static. Then the smooth sound of a band drifts out. Trumpets, a clarinet, a slow tapping drum. A familiar song, something you heard months ago in a bar back on the mainland. A few heads lift, a few feet tap along automatically. Tom nudges you with his elbow. Listen to that, he says. That is a sign, if I ever heard one. That is a song that belongs in a bar, not in a mess hall. We are going to follow it all the way into town. After dessert, you reply, eyeing the line where slices of pie appear in uneven rotation. He laughs, a bright sound that draws a glance from another table and a few answering smiles. For a moment, the whole room feels lighter. By the time you push back your chair, the sky outside the windows is almost fully dark. Only a faint band of deep red lingers low on the horizon. The mess hall lights turn the glass into mirrors that reflect tired faces, half-empty plates, and drifting steam. You step out into the night with Tom and Eddie on either side. The air outside feels cooler now. A soft wind moves across the base, bending the palm trees gently. The stars above are sharp and countless, scattered across the black like grains of salt. The Milky Way stands out as a pale river overhead, so bright you can almost imagine it casting a faint glow on the ground. Somewhere beyond the perimeter, the distant sound of waves reaches your ears. A slow hush and pull, like breath in a giant sleeping chest. Closer, you hear the faint clang of a maintenance crew closing up a hangar, the squeal of metal on metal as the big doors slide shut. A single engine starts in the distance, a low cough that turns into a steady rumble as a jeep springs to life. Ready for town? Eddie asks, rolling his shoulders as if shaking off the weight of the day. Tom takes a deep breath, spreading his arms as if to embrace the whole island. Gentlemen, he declares, I hear a bar stool calling my name. You walk with them toward the main gate, boots crunching softly on the gravel. As you pass the guard post, the sentry gives a lazy salute and a lopsided grin. Do not get into trouble, boys, he says, and bring back stories. The road into town is lit in patches. Pools of yellow light spill from street lamps, leaving stretches of soft darkness between them. The smell of the sea grows stronger as you approach the shoreline. Salt and seaweed, and a faint hint of fish from the small harbour market that has already closed for the night. Farther down, the town glows in a warm cluster of lights. Windows shine with amber. Music floats out in faint waves from open doors. Laughter rises and falls like a tide all its own. The bar you always end up in is not much to look at from the outside. A narrow building with peeling paint, a flickering neon sign buzzing faintly, the glass in the windows slightly fogged from the warmth inside. But the moment you push open the door, the air wraps around you with the familiar mix of beer, smoke, and worn wood. Inside, the light is low and golden. Brass lamps hang from the ceiling. The bar itself is a long, polished surface stained by years of use, reflecting the glow in soft streaks. Bottles line the shelves behind it, their colored glass turning the light into deep greens and ambers. A jukebox hums in the corner, the record turning silently for a heartbeat before the needle catches and music bursts forth. A swing tune. Bright brass, playful piano. A steady drumbeat that makes your foot tap almost against your will. Voices fill the room. Pilots, sailors, local workers. Some sit hunched over their drinks, talking quietly. Others lean back in their chairs, laughing loudly with heads thrown back. A couple of men in uniform flirt with two local girls by the window, their laughter soft and musical. You slide onto a stool at the bar with Tom and Eddie. The wooden seat creaks under your weight, familiar and comforting. The bartender nods in recognition. "The usual, Lieutenant?" he asks. You nod. He draws 3 beers from the tap, the foam rising just enough to spill over the rim in a thin white line that runs down the sides of the glasses. The glass is cool against your fingers as you wrap your hand around it. The first sip is crisp and cold, washing away the last dryness of engine air from your throat. Around you, the evening stretches out in layers. Clinking glasses, the murmur of overlapping conversations, a burst of laughter from a table near the door, a few words of Hawaiian mingling with mainland accents. The jukebox shifts to another song, this one slower, with a saxophone line that curls like smoke through the room. Tom tells another story, hands moving as he speaks, painting the air with his excitement. Eddie rolls his eyes but smiles, adding his own dry comments that set the table laughing. You feel tension unravel slowly inside your chest, like a knot loosening with each passing minute. You lean back slightly on your stool and let your eyes travel around the room. The low lamplight warms every face, softening sharp angles, melting frowns into something gentler. A sailor sleeps in the corner, head cradled on folded arms. 2 old locals play cards at a small table, their hands moving with the slow assurance of men who have played the same game 1,000 times. Somewhere near the back, someone starts humming along to the music. Another voice joins. For a moment, the whole bar seems to sway gently, as if breathing in time with the song. Outside, the night deepens. The sea goes on breathing quietly beyond the harbour. The palm trees whisper. The stars watch without blinking. Inside, you raise your glass with your friends, the 3 of you clinking the rims together softly. "To another calm day in paradise," Tom says. You do not know yet that this is the last evening that will ever feel this simple. You do not know that the sky above this quiet bar will soon burn with fire and metal. You only know the taste of cold beer, the warmth of friendly voices, and the deep, slow comfort of a day that believes tomorrow will arrive gently. The night unfolds in easy laughter and soft music, and somewhere in that golden haze of voices and songs, Fate begins to turn its hidden wheels, preparing the moment when peace will shatter. But for now, dear listener, the island still sleeps in peace. The night outside the bar feels cooler after the thick warmth inside. The door closes behind you with a soft thud, muting the music and laughter. The breeze brushes your face with the scent of salt, seaweed, and night-blooming flowers drifting from the dark gardens around the street. The sky glows deep indigo, now soft and endless, scattered with so many stars that the darkness looks dusted with silver. You take a deep breath and let the air fill your lungs. The humidity carries a sweetness you can never quite name. It clings to your skin, warm as a hand on your cheek. Your ears ring faintly from the music inside, so for a few moments the quiet feels like someone has turned down the whole island. Behind you, the bar door swings open again, and Tom leans out, squinting into the night. "You running off already?" he asks, grinning as always. "I needed a little air, you say. Feels like the bar got hotter tonight." Tom gives a lazy shrug. It is Hawaii. Everything gets hotter at night, even the beer. Tom tells another story, hands moving as he speaks, painting the air with his excitement. Eddie rolls his eyes, but smiles, adding his own dry comments that set the table laughing. You feel tension unravel slowly inside your chest, like a knot loosening with each passing minute. You lean back slightly on your stool and let your eyes travel around the room. The low lamplight warms every face, softening sharp angles, melting frowns into something gentler. A sailor sleeps in the corner, head cradled on folded arms. Two old locals play cards at a small table, their hands moving with the slow assurance of men who have played the same game 1,000 times. Somewhere near the back, someone starts humming along to the music. Another voice joins. For a moment, the whole bar seems to sway gently, as if breathing in time with the song. Outside, the night deepens. The sea goes on breathing quietly beyond the harbor. The palm trees whisper. The stars watch without blinking. Inside, you raise your glass with your friends, the three of you clinking the rims together softly. "To another calm day in paradise," Tom says. "You do not know yet that this is the last evening that will ever feel this simple. You do not know that the sky above this quiet bar will soon burn with fire and metal. You only know the taste of cold beer, the warmth of friendly voices, and the deep, slow comfort of a day that believes tomorrow will arrive gently. The night unfolds in easy laughter and soft music, and somewhere in that golden haze of voices and songs, fate begins to turn its hidden wheels, preparing the moment when peace will shatter. But for now, dear listener, the island still sleeps in peace. The night outside the bar feels cooler after the thick warmth inside. The door closes behind you with a soft thud, muting the music and laughter. The breeze brushes your face with the scent of salt, seaweed, and night-blooming flowers drifting from the dark gardens around the street. The sky glows deep indigo, now soft and endless, scattered with so many stars that the darkness looks dusted with silver. You take a deep breath and let the air fill your lungs. The humidity carries a sweetness you can never quite name. It clings to your skin, warm as a hand on your cheek. Your ears ring faintly from the music inside, so for a few moments, the quiet feels like someone has turned down the whole island. Behind you, the bar door swings open again, and Tom leans out, squinting into the night. "You running off already?" he asks, grinning as always. I needed a little air, you say. Feels like the bar got hotter tonight. Tom gives a lazy shrug. It is Hawaii. Everything gets hotter at night. Even the beer. He laughs and disappears back inside, leaving you alone on the small wooden deck that fronts the bar. You rest your forearms on the railing and watch the street. A few locals walk by, their steps slow and unhurried. Lanterns hang from the eaves of small shops, their yellow glow rippling across the ground whenever the breeze sways them. Somewhere down the road, a dog barks once, then settles. You hear the faint splash of waves hitting the rocks beyond the buildings. The sound draws you like a magnet. You begin to walk without thinking, just following the quiet, the way the night seems to open into gentle pathways. Your boots tap softly against the wooden steps as you descend. The street is lined with small palm trees that sway overhead like sleepy guardians. Their fronds rustle in soft whispers. And then you see her. She stands near the edge of the pier that curves out over the water. The lantern light behind her casts a halo around her hair, making it glow like dark honey. She wears a simple dress, pale blue, the fabric moving in the breeze like the surface of a shallow tide pool. One hand rests lightly on the railing. The other holds her small purse. She looks out across the ocean with a calm stillness that makes the whole pier suddenly feel sacred. You slow your steps without meaning to, drawn toward her like a moth to a warm lamp. The wooden boards creak softly under your feet. She turns her head at the sound. Her eyes meet yours, warm, steady, curious. There is something in her gaze that feels familiar, even though you have never seen her before, as if she has lived in your dreams without your permission. Evening, you murmur, lifting a hand in greeting. She smiles, not the wide or playful kind you see inside the bar, but gentle, real, the type of smile that warms you slowly from the inside out. Evening, she replies, her voice soft but clear, carrying across the quiet water. Could not stay inside either. You shake your head and move closer, stopping a respectful distance away. It gets crowded in there. Thought I would borrow some air from the sea. She laughs softly, the sound like the small bells tied on fishing boats that chime in the breeze. I know the feeling, she says. I just finished my shift and needed a moment before heading home. Shift, you repeat. You work nearby? She nods. The hospital. I am a nurse. You let that sit for a moment. Something about the way she says it, calm, steady, proud but not boastful, makes you straighten your posture without meaning to. I am Daniel, you say. Daniel Hayes, pilot on base. She studies your face quietly for a breath, as if letting your name settle into her memory. I am Lily, she says. Lily Jones. The ocean sighs under the pier. A wave breaks softly against the wooden supports, sending a faint shiver through the boards. The breeze carries the scent of hibiscus from somewhere along the shore. For a few seconds, neither of you speak. The silence is not awkward. It is full of everything the night holds. The stars above shimmer as though listening. Do you like flying? Lily asks at last. You nod without hesitation. It feels like being weightless, like your worries get left on the ground and only your mind follows you into the sky. She leans her elbows on the railing, mirroring your posture. That sounds peaceful. You let out a soft breath, smiling at the memory of the day. Some days it is, and some days it scares you in ways you do not admit to anyone. Do you get scared often? She asks gently. You consider the question seriously. Only when I think too much. Up there, fear feels different. Smaller, maybe. But down here, when it is quiet like this, sometimes it grows a little. I guess that is normal. Lily nods slowly. It is. You are human. Her certainty surprises you. She looks away toward the dark horizon, where faint silver streaks reflect the moonlight across the slow-moving water. What about you? You ask quietly. Does nursing scare you? Her eyes soften. Her fingers curl slightly around the wooden railing, as if holding on to something inside herself. Every day, she says, but not because of the work. People trust us even when their pain is bigger than anything we can do. Sometimes I worry I will not be enough for them. Not fast enough. Not calm enough. Not smart enough. You shake your head. I doubt that. A small breath escapes her, half laughter, half relief. You do not know me yet. No, you say. But I see how you stand here, how you talk. You carry responsibility quietly. That says more than anything. She glances down, embarrassed, but smiling again. A strand of hair falls across her cheek, and she tucks it gently behind her ear. The pier stretches under your feet like a wooden path, leading you both further into the night. The lanterns overhead sway, casting shifting leaves of light across the boards. Fish break the surface beneath you now and then, small splashes echoing off the pilings like tiny bells. You walk to the end of the pier together, slowly, as if time has softened and stretched. At the far edge, the ocean feels larger, deeper. The dark water moves in long swells that whisper under the floorboards. The stars above seem brighter here, like you are closer to them. Lily rests her arms on the end rail and looks up. I love the sky, she says quietly. I used to sit outside when I was a girl just looking at it for hours. It made me feel small, but in a good way, like anything was possible. What did you dream about? You ask. She smiles faintly. Becoming a doctor, helping people where help runs out. But school costs money, and my parents needed help at home. So I became a nurse instead. She says it with no bitterness, only truth, only acceptance changed by time. What about your parents, you ask? Are they here on the island? She nods. My father works at the shipyard. My mother helps at a small tea shop in town. They worked hard so my brother and I could grow up here. She keeps her eyes on the stars. There is pride in her voice and a softness that makes you imagine her childhood with surprising clarity. The long walkways lined with cherry bark, darkened by age. The smell of green tea. Her father carrying her on his shoulders. Her mother brushing her hair before school. All of it wrapped in the warm Hawaiian sunlight. What about you? She asks after a moment. Where is home for you? You exhale slowly. A small town in Nebraska. Lots of fields. Lots of quiet. My father was a mechanic. My mother taught at the school. I used to lie in the tall grass behind our house and watch the sky for hours, same as you. But I dreamed of leaving flying, seeing something bigger than rows of corn. Did you? She asks. Yes, you say. But sometimes I miss the quiet of home. She turns her head to look at you, her hair lifting slightly in the breeze. Maybe you will go back one day, she says softly. You swallow and feel the truth lodge in your chest like a stone. Maybe. You walk along the pier again, slowly letting your steps carry you in no particular direction. The boards creak gently. The night smells like salted wind and faint coconut oil from someone staying up late in one of the houses near the beach. You talk about small things, her favorite food, your dislike for the coffee served on base, her memory of learning to swim in shallow surf, your first solo flight, her fear of thunderstorms, your fear of disappointing the men who trust you in the air. Sometimes you fall silent. Those quiet moments feel just as full as the talking, full of ocean breath and warm night air, full of understanding that does not need words. At one point, Lily slips off her shoes and lets her bare feet touch the cool planks. She wiggles her toes with a small laugh. "Feels better this way," she says. "The wood is warm from the day." You slide your boots off too and place them beside hers. The warmth of the pier rises into your skin, soft, steady grounding. A fishing boat hums along the far side of the harbour, its small lantern swinging in the dark like a firefly caught in slow motion. You both watch it glide past, its wake rippling gently toward the pier. Lily tilts her head back and gazes at the sky again. Her eyes reflect the starlight, turning them into pools of soft brightness. "So many stars," she whispers. "Every night they are here, but some nights it feels like they are calling us." "What do you think they say?" you ask. She breathes out slowly. "Do not waste your time. Do not forget to live. Do not forget to love." The words settle between you, like gentle waves rolling to shore. You walk again. Your shoulders brush once lightly, then again, more intentionally. She looks up at you, shy but brave. You let your fingers slowly graze the back of her hand. She does not pull away. Her hand opens slightly, inviting yours. Your fingers lace together. Her palm is warm, soft, alive. You walk like that for a long time, hand in hand, following the curve of the beach. The sand crunches under your bare feet, cool and powdery. Waves roll up, kiss your toes, and slip away again. She leans her head against your shoulder for a moment. The weight of it, gentle and trusting, sends a slow warmth through you, from collarbone to stomach. "This is strange," she says softly. "I met you only an hour ago, but it feels like longer." "I know," you murmur. You stop walking and turn toward her. The wind lifts the hem of her dress. The moonlight softens her features, her cheeks a gentle glow, her eyes deep and full of something you did not expect to find tonight. You lift your hand and brush a loose strand of hair from her forehead. Your thumb lingers a second longer than necessary. She steps closer, so close you can feel the warmth from her body, so close you can hear her breath catch just slightly. You kiss her, softly, carefully, like placing a fragile promise into her hands. Her lips are warm, sweet. Her fingers slide gently along your jaw, drawing you closer. When you pull back, she rests her forehead against yours, breathing slow and deep. "I should get home," she whispers. "It is late." "I will walk you," you say. You walk together along the moonlit road that curves away from the water. Palm leaves sway overhead. A slow wind drifts through them with a hush like whispered blessings. When you reach the small gate of her house, she turns to you again. Her hand lingers on yours. "Thank you for tonight," she says softly. "It was more than I expected." "Me too," you say. She smiles that gentle, real smile you saw earlier on the pier. "I hope I see you again soon, Daniel." "You will," you say. "I promise." Her fingers brush yours one last time before she steps inside. The screen door creaks slightly, then closes with a soft click. A single warm light glows behind the window curtain. You stand there for a long moment, feeling the night breeze touch the back of your neck, feeling the warmth of her kiss still lingering on your lips. The ocean breathes behind you. The stars glimmer overhead. The whole island seems to hold its breath in a perfect, silent moment. You begin the walk back to base, slowly, your boots dangling from your hand, the cool sand brushing between your toes, your heart full in a way you have not felt in years. You do not know yet that this quiet night is the last you will ever live without the shadow of war. You do not know that the next dawn will begin with fire screams, smoke, and your own wings cutting into a sky filled with fear. But for now, dear listener, the island still sleeps in peace. And somewhere behind a softly glowing window curtain, a young nurse closes her eyes and dreams of a pilot who held her hand beneath the starlit sky. You sleep lightly, as pilots often do. Your body rests, but your mind drifts in half-states, caught between the quiet rhythm of waves and the stubborn habit of listening for engines that are not there. Even in dreams, you feel the echo of flight, the push of wind against the canopy, the weightless tilt of a slow, banking turn. But tonight, sleep folds around you gently. You can still feel the sweetness of Lilia's kiss lingering on your lips. You can still hear her laughter carried on warm ocean wind. When you drift deeper, her voice drifts with you, soft, warm, like a lullaby you have known for years. And then a sound slices through the darkness like a blade, a rising wail, high, piercing, unmistakable, the air raid siren. It screams through the barracks, cutting through sleep, cutting through dreams, cutting through the softness of the night with brutal force. Your eyes snap open. Your heart slams into your ribs. For a second, your mind refuses to accept the sound because this is not a drill. This is not scheduled. This is not supposed to happen on a quiet Sunday morning before sunrise. The siren rises again, louder, longer, a scream from steel lungs echoing across the entire base. You sit up so fast the bunk creaks. Adrenaline detonates inside your chest. Your breath turns sharp and cold, as if the air itself has turned to ice. Around you, the barracks erupts. Boots hit the floor. Lockers slam open. Voices shout across the room. What the hell is this real? Get moving. Up, up. Move your asses. The overhead lights flicker on, harsh and blinding after the darkness. Men stumble out of their beds, pulling on trousers, jackets, boots. Some grab half their gear, others grab nothing at all. The siren keeps screaming impossibly loud, reaching into every bone in your body until your pulse matches its pitch. You jump up and shove your legs into your trousers. Your hands shake as you button them. Fear and confusion tangle in your chest. You look up. Tom is already awake, shirt half on, boots unlaced, hair sticking up like he fought a hurricane in his sleep. His eyes lock onto yours. "This is it," he says. His voice is flat, but the tremor beneath it is unmistakable. This is not a drill. Before you can answer, the first explosion shakes the ground. The entire barracks trembles. Dust falls from the rafters. Someone screams. Someone else shouts that a fuel depot just went up. You stagger, catching yourself on the bunk frame, your ears ringing. The sound is impossible to describe, metal tearing, air bursting, a roar so huge it feels like the sky itself cracked open. The windows rattle violently. A deep rolling thunder presses through the floor and up your spine. "Planes," Eddie shouts, pointing toward the distant window. I hear planes, and then you hear them too. Engines, twin-engine drones, dozens of them. A low mechanical growl that swells into a bone-shaking roar. Foreign engines. Your mind tries to make sense of the sound, but fails. You have never heard engines like this in Hawaii. Not American, not friendly. Your heartbeat turns razor sharp. You shove your arms through your shirt sleeves and grab your jacket. Tom pulls his boots on without socks. Eddie grabs his helmet. Someone yells for everyone to move. Move now, get to the flight line. But before you can run, something streaks across the window. A blur of steel and red sun, symbols on the wings. A long, narrow fuselage, a shriek of a diving engine. A Japanese Zero. Your breath stops. Your blood turns to ice. Dear God, someone whispers. They are attacking us. The world outside explodes again. A wave of heat and sound slams through the walls. The ground shudders like a living thing. Men are shouting, running, tripping over each other as they rush toward the exit. You shove through the doorway and burst into the open air. And the moment you step outside, your senses are swallowed whole. Smoke. Thick black smoke rising in pillars from the southern end of the base. The sweet smell of burning oil. Ash falling like snow. The air hot against your face from fires still growing. Screams echoing from every direction. Men running across the field. Silhouettes against the rising flames. Explosions flashing orange and white like lightning trapped on the ground. Above you the sky swarms with enemy aircraft. Dozens of Zeros sweep low over the hangars, their wings gleaming in the dim, early light. Bombers circle behind them, dropping black shapes that fall silent for a breath and then erupt into towering columns of fire. Your ears ring. You taste smoke. Your pulse feels like a hammer inside your skull. Tom grabs your shoulder, gripping hard. Hayes, Danny, come on. The planes! We have to get to the planes. Are any left? You shout back over the roar. We will find out when we get there. The three of you sprint across the ground, boots pounding the dirt. The sirens still howl. The engines overhead shriek as enemy fighters dive low. Bullets tear into the ground nearby, throwing dirt into the air in vicious sprays. You duck instinctively, heart slamming against your ribs. Machine gun fire rattles from the towers, American gun crews firing blindly at the fast-moving shapes above. Some guns jam. Others go silent as their crews are hit by strafing rounds. Another explosion erupts to your left. A hangar caves inward with a roar. Flames bursting through the doorway like a dragon waking. The heat from the blast hits your face. You throw your arms up to protect your eyes. And then you see it, your plane, or what is left of it. The row of aircraft beside the hangars lined up wingtip to wingtip, as they always are on peaceful mornings, are now burning wrecks, wings torn apart, fuel tanks exploding like cannon fire, men dragging wounded pilots across the field, mechanics trying desperately to pull equipment from collapsing structures. Your stomach drops. The urge to freeze hits you like a punch. But Tom is already pulling you forward. Some of them are still intact, he shouts. Not all of them got hit. You keep running. Your lungs burn with every breath. Smoke scratches your throat raw. Sweat mixes with soot on your face. Your eyes water from heat and fear and the endless assault of explosions around you. A Zero dives low overhead, so close you see the pilot's goggles. The plane spits bullets that rip across the ground in a straight, deadly line. You dive behind a concrete barrier as the dirt sprays inches from your boots. Eddie lands beside you, chest heaving. They are everywhere, he gasps. We still have to get airborne, Tom says. If we stay on the ground, we die on the ground. You swallow hard and nod. Your hands shake. Your heartbeat flutters like a trapped bird. The fear is overwhelming, a cold rush that fills your limbs with weakness, but beneath it, something hotter sparks. a sense of duty that cuts through the panic like steel through cloth, a sharp, burning need to fight back, to protect the men beside you, to protect the island, to protect the life you had just started to imagine with Lily. You wipe your eyes with the back of your sleeve, clearing the blur of smoke and tears. "We move on my mark," you say. Your voice shakes, but the words are steady, straight to the far runway. "I saw a few P-40s parked near the old depot. They might still be intact." Tom nods. "Ready?" Eddie grips your arm. "Let us go." You inhale once. Smoke fills your lungs, your chest tightens, but you stand. Now, you shout. The three of you break from cover and sprint again. Enemy engines scream above as more planes dive. Bombs whistle. Bullets carve the air. Flames roar and crack like angry waves. Your boots slam the ground with each step. Your lungs feel like they are tearing. But you do not stop. You do not stop. And then through the smoke you see them. 3 P-40 Warhawks, scorched by heat but intact. Their shark mouth paint glints through the haze, their wings still whole, their fuselages untouched. Hope punches through your chest so strongly you almost stumble. "We can fly these," you shout. Tom releases a wild, breathless laugh. "I knew it." Eddie slaps your shoulder. "Move." You reach the first plane. Your hands grip the metal, hot but solid. Your heart pounds with terror and clarity all at once. The engines of enemy planes roar overhead. Smoke drifts thick around you. The ground trembles with explosions behind you. Your stomach twists with fear. But your decision is made. You climb onto the wing. Your boots thud against the metal. You pull open the canopy. The smell of oil, leather, and warm steel hits you like an old memory. Your hands settle on the controls. Your breath steadies. Your mind clears. Behind you, Tom and Eddie climb into their own planes. Men scramble around the runway, shouting warnings. Enemy fighters streak across the sky, and the island screams under falling fire. You flip the first switch. The engine coughs, stutters, then roars to life, loud and bright and defiant. The ground shakes again. A bomb erupts near the hangars. You tighten your grip on the throttle. You feel the whole world tilting toward you, toward this moment, toward this impossible fight. You look once toward the town, toward Lily, toward the nurse you met under the stars, toward the memory of her hand in yours, and you whisper something to yourself. A promise, a plea. The engine screams as you push the throttle forward. The plane surges ahead. The wheels leave the ground. The smoke thins. The rising sun glows red behind the clouds, a false dawn burning with war. You break through the smoke ceiling. The sky opens above you. Enemy fighters swarm like dark insects against the light. Your pulse steadies. Your grip tightens. You breathe once deep and sharp. And then, dear listener, the moment of calm breaks. The fight begins. Lily wakes to a faint vibration, a tremor that shivers through the thin wooden walls of her small bedroom. At first, she thinks it is distant thunder rolling across the ocean. Hawaii knows storms in winter, and sometimes their echoes arrive long before the rain. She rolls onto her back, her hair loose across the pillow, eyes half open, still carrying the warmth of last night's memory. She can still feel the sand under her feet. She can still taste the softness of your kiss. A shy smile touches her lips, but then the tremor comes again, stronger, closer, sharp enough to rattle the small ceramic vase on her nightstand. She sits up slowly, listens. Another rumble, another dull, heavy thud that vibrates the window frame. Her smile fades. She swings her feet onto the floorboards, the wood cool beneath her toes. She crosses the small room to the window and pushes the curtain aside. The morning light should be soft by now, washed gold, gentle, rising warm over the hillside. Instead, the sky looks bruised. Grey smoke curls upward where there should only be early sunlight. Her pulse stutters. More rumbling. Closer now. Louder. Something is wrong. Very wrong. She grabs her robe and hurries out into the narrow hallway. Her mother stands near the front door, one hand over her heart, her face pale. "What was that?" Lily asks, breath catching as she approaches her. "I do not know," her mother whispers. It sounded like explosions. The radio was saying something, but the signal is weak. Then the world answers their question for them. The first air raid siren shrieks across the island. It cuts through the walls of the house like a knife. It cuts through bone. It cuts through yesterday's peace. Her mother gasps and grips Lilia's arm. Lilia's breath freezes in her lungs. Not a drill, not practice. This sound is too sharp, too panicked, too real. The siren rises higher, a long, unbroken scream that seems to tear open the morning sky. Lily forces her legs to move. "I have to get to the hospital." "No," her mother says, voice trembling. "It is not safe, mother," Lily says gently but firmly. "They will need every pair of hands they can get." Another explosion rocks the air so loud the windows shake in their frames. From their doorstep, they can see a column of black smoke rising far in the distance, thick and rolling like something alive. Her father rushes in from the yard, his shirt half-buttoned, his hands trembling. "The base is burning," he whispers, voice breaking. "Planes are falling. I can see them from the hill." Lilia's stomach twists painfully. The base. Where Daniel is. Where every pilot she saw yesterday is. She cannot breathe for a moment. Just a frozen second where fear tears through her chest like a cold blade. But then her training comes back to her in a hard, steady rush. She ties her robe tighter, pulls on her shoes, grabs her small nurse bag from the hook by the door. Her mother reaches for her again. Please, Lily cups her mother's cheek. Her hands are trembling, but her eyes stay steady. "I will come home," she says softly. "I promise," a promise she is not sure she can keep. She steps out into the street, and the world she knew last night is gone. Smoke drifts in slow grey blankets across the rooftops, carried by the wind. The distant harbour glows orange in several places, flickering like monstrous torches. The sky rumbles with the pounding of bombs and the metallic growl of engines she does not recognize. Japanese planes roar overhead in tight formation, their silhouettes sharp against the dim morning sky. Their wings gleam, the rising sun insignia bright and unmistakable. People pour out of houses, some barefoot, some clutching children, some shouting names of loved ones lost in the chaos. A young boy cries as he covers his ears, the siren too loud for his small frame. Two fishermen stand frozen in the road, staring at the sky with horror. A woman kneels beside her dog, trying to calm its frantic shaking. Lily swallows hard and keeps running. Her sandals slap against the pavement as she moves down the street, weaving through frightened neighbors. Her heart pounds painfully fast. Her breaths come in quick, shallow bursts, but she does not slow down. As she reaches a crossroad, another explosion tears through the air. The ground shakes. A shockwave pushes at her chest, stealing her balance. A thin scream escapes someone behind her. She steadies herself with one hand on a fence post. The heat from the explosion washes over her even from this distance. The hospital lies ahead, white walls now streaked with smoke, its roof partially obscured by a dark, curling column. She runs faster. When Lily reaches the hospital entrance, chaos already spills into the street. Doctors shout instructions. Nurses sprint between carts of supplies. Wounded men are being carried through the front doors on makeshift stretchers, pieces of doors, wooden planks, even bed frames dragged from nearby houses. Help him. Over here. This one is losing too much blood. We need more bandages. Move. Move. It all crashes around her like a storm. But Lily does what she trained for. She finds the center of the chaos. She steps inside it. A doctor spots her immediately. Jones, thank God, get inside. She follows him through the entrance, dodging two orderlies rushing out with an empty stretcher. Inside, the hospital is a world of noise and motion. Beds line the hallways, most already filled. Nurses bend over wounded men, tying tourniquets, pressing cloths to open wounds, wiping sweat from trembling faces. The smell is overwhelming: blood, smoke, iodine, and something metallic that sticks in the back of her throat. A man holds his arm to his chest, blood running down between his fingers. Another lies on the floor waiting for a bed, his leg twisted unnaturally. A sailor cries quietly as a nurse stitches a deep cut across his shoulder. Someone in the next room screams in agony. Someone else whispers prayers under their breath. A third man calls for his brother over and over, voice breaking. Lily forces herself to breathe slow, steady, even though her chest feels tight. Focus. Work. One person at a time. She grabs clean cloths, gauze, and a basin of water, then kneels beside the first patient placed in her care, a young Marine with shrapnel embedded in his arm. Blood soaks his sleeve. His teeth chatter uncontrollably. "You are safe," she murmurs as she begins cleaning the wound. "I am here. I will take care of you." Her hands move quickly, precise despite her shaking fingers. She presses fresh cloth to the wound. He winces. She whispers reassurance. She barely hears herself speak. Another explosion shakes the building. Dust falls from the ceiling. A light fixture swings above them. Lily freezes for half a heartbeat, then keeps working. There is no time to cry, no time to fear, no time to think of broken promises or burning skies. Only time to save the next life, and the next, and the next. She moves from patient to patient, her clothes stained with blood and ash. Her hair sticks to her forehead in damp curls. Her breath grows shallow, each inhale tasting of smoke. She cleans burned skin. She wraps shattered limbs. She presses cloth to wounds that bleed too fast. She whispers comfort to men far from home. She holds trembling hands. She steadies quivering voices. A sailor clutches her wrist and gasps, "Are we losing? Are we losing the harbor?" Lily looks into his frightened eyes. She wants to tell him the truth, that the sky is full of enemy fire, that smoke rises like black towers, that the base burns brighter than the sunrise. But she cannot. She will not. "We are fighting," she tells him softly. "That is what matters right now." He closes his eyes, holding on to those words as if they are a lifeline. A nurse near her bursts into tears as she struggles to bandage a wound too large for her hands. Lily grabs her shoulders gently. "Breathe," Lily says quietly. "You are not alone. We will do this together." The girl nods through her tears, steadies her hands, and goes back to work. Another stretcher arrives, a mechanic from the airfield, his face covered in soot, his clothes burned. He mutters through cracked lips. "Planes they are trying to take off, they are trying." Lily's heart twists painfully. Daniel, Tom, Eddie, Every pilot she saw laughing in the bar last night, all of them out there somewhere in the fire. She presses her hand gently to the mechanic's shoulder. You are safe now. Let me help. But her eyes drift to the window, to the red glow rising beyond the trees, to the smoke rolling across the brightening sky, to the trembling of the ground beneath her feet. She forces herself back to the patient. Focus, help, steady hands, calm voice. Minutes blur into hours. The sounds outside shift from roaring explosions to sporadic bursts of gunfire. The sky brightens with morning light, tinted grey by smoke. The hospital floor grows slick with spilled water, blood, and footprints of busy shoes. Her legs ache, her back aches, her throat burns from smoke and shouting. But she does not slow down. She will not stop. Not until the last man who can be saved is saved. Even as hopelessness claws at her ribs, even as chaos threatens to break her, even as fear for Daniel squeezes her chest until she can barely breathe. She keeps her smile soft. She keeps her voice gentle. She keeps her hands steady. Because if she breaks, someone else will fall apart too. At one point, she steps outside for more supplies, only for a moment, only to breathe air that is not thick with blood and iodine. But outside, the world is ash. The wind carries smoke and burning cinders that sting her skin. The sound of machine guns crackles in the distance. A column of fire dances above the base. Sirens echo across the hills. And the sky is filled with twisting trails of black and silver planes diving, planes climbing, planes burning. Lily's breath stops. Somewhere up there, among the dark dots moving between smoke and flame, Daniel is fighting for his life. Her chest tightens so painfully, she presses a hand to her heart. Please, she whispers, a plea to the sky, to the winds, to whatever mercy may still remain in a morning that has forgotten peace. A nurse calls her name sharply from the doorway. Jones, we need you now. Lily wipes her eyes with the back of her sleeve, straightens her shoulders, pushes her fear down beneath all the other things she must carry. I am coming, she says, and she runs back inside, back to the wounded, back to the chaos, back to the hope she refuses to let die. Outside, the battle rages. Inside, a different kind of war continues, one fought with cloth and courage, with trembling hands and brave hearts, with whispered reassurances in the face of unbearable fear. Lily keeps working, keeps smiling for the ones who need it, keeps fighting in the only way she can. And somewhere far above the burning harbor, Daniel's plane finally finds its place among the fire and the sky. But she does not know that yet. All she knows is that the day that began in peace now bleeds into ruin, and she must stand steady in the middle of it until the very last wounded man is carried to safety, even if her own heart breaks in the doing. The last Japanese plane pulls away from the sky like a shadow retreating from light. Its engine winds into the distance, growing smaller, weaker, until it becomes nothing more than a fading speck swallowed by clouds. But Daniel does not stop watching it, not until he is sure, not until that final dot of steel disappears and leaves only the smoke that hangs over the harbor. His chest rises and falls in sharp, uneven breaths inside the cockpit. His goggles are streaked with soot and ash. His hands still grip the control stick, knuckles pale under the gloves. His entire body shakes from adrenaline and exhaustion. The world below him is unrecognizable. Battleship Row burns in thick black pillars. The water around the docks churns with oil and debris. Slick rainbows of fuel shimmer across the waves. The air carries a heavy fog of smoke and salt and the faint metallic scent of hot shrapnel cooling in the morning breeze. Fires crackle across the base. Rubble smoulders where hangars once stood proud and wide. The shoreline is littered with pieces of metal and fragments of wings that no longer resemble planes. The island that slept in peace the night before now looks like the ribs of a beast torn open. Tom's plane comes in beside him, wings trembling from bullet holes. Eddie limps in behind them, smoke still trailing off the tail of his damaged P-40. For a moment, the three pilots fly in silence, not speaking over the radio, not shouting in victory, not celebrating survival. Just breathing. Alive. Against all odds. Alive. Tom's voice crackles through the radio at last, low horse heavy. "Danny, we did what we could." Daniel swallows hard. His throat burns. His voice barely emerges. Going down now. They form a slow descent toward the base. The runway is scarred with bomb craters and burning wreckage, but a long strip near the older depot remains intact. Tom lands first, wheels screeching against the rough concrete. Eddie touches down next, nearly tipping as one landing gear collapses halfway. Daniel glides in carefully, his stomach turning, his heart pounding, his hands trembling as the wheels hit the ground. The plane rolls to a stop. He kills the engine. The propeller slows, stops. The silence that follows is terrifying. No engines, no gunfire. Only the low crackle of flames and the distant cries of wounded men drifting across the smoke-thick air. Daniel unstraps his harness with shaking fingers. His boots hit the ground with a thud that echoes through his entire body. He climbs down from the wing. The moment his feet touch the ruined earth, everything hits him at once. The smell of burning oil, the moans of injured soldiers, the clatter of stretcher carts rushing past, the distant sirens, pieces of aircraft scattered like broken toys, a landing gear half buried in dirt, a torn wing leaning against a smouldering tree, a helmet lying alone on the ground. But beneath it all, a deeper sound, a heartbeat of grief, a heavy quiet that wraps around the entire base like a shroud. Tom approaches him. His face is streaked with soot, his uniform torn, his eyes wide and hollow. But he is alive. Eddie limps toward them, a hand pressed against his side where a piece of metal scraped him. The three stand together, shoulders touching, staring out across the ruins of the harbor. Tom exhales a shaky breath. "We held them off." Daniel nods, but his heart feels too heavy to lift. Not in time. Eddie wipes his face with a trembling hand. "We survived." That is something. But Daniel barely hears them, because beneath the weight of victory and loss, one thought burns hotter than all the others. Lily. He looks toward the town, toward the hospital, toward the place he last saw her smile under the lantern glow. The smoke between the buildings twists like a dark veil. The roads are barely visible. The air tastes of ash and dread. Tom catches the direction of his gaze. "Go," he says gently. "Find her." Daniel does not waste a second. He starts running. The road toward town is lined with broken lamp posts and shards of glass. Fire hoses snake across the street, pumping water toward burning structures. Civilians gather in clusters, their faces pale, some crying, some whispering prayers. Daniel runs past them all. His legs ache, his chest burns, his lungs pull in smoke with each breath. But he runs. The closer he gets to town, the louder the noise grows. Voices shouting orders, children crying, dogs barking in fear, women calling names of loved ones, military trucks rumbling over cracked pavement. But over everything else, one sight drives him forward. The hospital. or what is left of it. The white walls are streaked with soot. The courtyard is full of wounded men lying on blankets and stretchers. Nurses run from one patient to the next, their arms full of supplies, their faces streaked with sweat and ash. Daniel stops at the edge of the crowd, chest heaving, breath coming in ragged gasps. His eyes scan the chaos. Where is she? Where a medic grabs his arm suddenly. "Soldier, if you can walk, help us move the wounded." Daniel tries to speak, but his throat closes. I am looking for..." Another nurse rushes past, carrying gauze soaked in red. A doctor shouts for more hands. 2 orderlies carry a man with burns across his arms and chest. Someone collapses near the entrance. Someone else calls for water. Another stretcher arrives with a man crying out for his mother. Daniel feels panic claw up his spine. "Lily," he whispers. "Lily, where are you?" His voice breaks. He pushes deeper into the courtyard, weaving through the mass of wounded. Every glimpse of dark hair makes his heart jump. Every nurse in a pale uniform makes his breath catch. He sees faces twisted in pain, faces covered in soot, faces too still. His hands tremble violently. "Please," he swallows hard. "Please be alive." A voice speaks behind him. "Daniel?" He freezes. Everything around him falls away. The smoke, the shouting, the fires, the crying, all of it dims into a distant hum. He turns slowly. And there she is. Lily stands in the doorway of the hospital, her uniform stained with blood and ash, her hair stuck to her cheeks, her hands trembling from hours of work. Her eyes look exhausted, haunted, but alive. Alive. Daniel's breath collapses out of him in a broken exhale. Lily. She takes one shaky step forward, then another. Her knees almost buckle, but she does not stop. When she reaches him, she falls into his arms. He catches her instantly, pulling her close, holding her, as if she might slip away if he loosens his grip for even a second. Her arms wrap around him tightly, fingers gripping the back of his jacket as if anchoring herself to reality. Her forehead presses against his chest. Her breath trembles. He buries his face in her hair, inhaling the faint scent of hibiscus beneath the smoke. For a long time, they do not speak. They just hold each other in the middle of ruins, in the middle of chaos, in the remains of a morning that tore open everything they knew. Lily finally lifts her face, eyes shining with tears that have waited too long. "I thought you were gone," she whispers. Daniel cups her cheek gently, wiping a streak of soot away with his thumb. "I promised you I would see you again," he says, voice soft but steady. "I keep my promises." Her tears spill, then quiet, hot, unstoppable, but her smile trembles through them. "I am so glad you are alive," she whispers. "So am I," he breathes. "So am I." A breeze moves across the courtyard, carrying away some of the smoke. Sunlight breaks through the haze in thin golden rays. They fall across the two of them, soft, warm, gentle, as if the morning is trying to begin again. Daniel pulls her closer, resting his cheek against her hair. Around them, the world is broken but rising, shattered but surviving, scarred but breathing. The last bomb has fallen. The sky grows quiet. The island exhales. And in the tender glow of the morning light, 2 people who found each other under peaceful stars the night before cling to one another in the middle of a world forever changed. But they are alive, and they are together. And for this fragile moment, that is enough. The day that slept in peace has awakened in ruin, yet hope stands in the sunlight, wrapped in each other's arms.